Let's take a look at some voting problems that are already in on election day. We're going to just hit the highlights. Colin Rugg, who is one of my sources on Twitter, I find him very reliable and accurate and to the point. This just in, voting machines are down in Cambria County, Pennsylvania, prompting the GOP to urge voters to stay in line. Do not leave. We understand that there are some line delays on the ground because your voting machines are done. We need you to stay in line, said GOP Chairman Michael Whatley. We need you to fill out your ballot in full and deliver it. Our Pennsylvania lawyers are all over this issue and will ensure fairness and accuracy in the process. Stay in line, deliver your ballot. Now, Cambria County, Pennsylvania, just if you want to get suspicious, put on your tinfoil hat for a second. Mine's already been on, haven't taken it off for over 4 years. This is how Cambria County voted in the 2020 election. 68% in favor of Trump, 31% in favor of Biden. So the tinfoil hat would say, oh, Cambria County voting machines are down in Pennsylvania, potentially the most influential state in this election. Why, that's rather interesting that the voting machines are down in the exact county that Trump won 68% of last election. But also, breaking, court sides with RNC allows Cambria County, Pennsylvania to be open until 10 p.m. after machine issues. I haven't gotten word that the machines have been fixed. Hopefully they have been, but that's a good sign. The courts ruled, the machines aren't down, so the polls can stay open till 10 p.m. later than usual. Cool. If I was giving this story the benefit of the doubt, wow, a county in Pennsylvania that Trump won 68% of last election, if I was giving that story the benefit of the doubt, say, wow, on election day, the machines break. Polling machines aren't used on any other day. I mean, granted, they should be tested, and I don't know what kind of protocols, if any, are in place. But you have to realize, like, if an election machine is going to break, election day is the only day it's going to break. If you only use your car on November 8th, nobody uses their cars except on, I said November 8th, except November 5th. You're going to see a lot more cars breaking down on November 5th than November 1st because nobody's driving their cars on November 1st. So just as someone who likes to have an open mind, and I'm suspicious, don't get me wrong, that's part of my open-mindedness, just giving someone the benefit of the doubt, that's kind of like a closed mind. Let's all entertain what is the benefit of the doubt, but also entertain what is the suspicion. If I had to bet, I would say the suspicion is probably more accurate than the benefit of the doubt. What else is going on in Pennsylvania with election disruptions? Happening now in Martinburg, Pennsylvania. 7:06, so happened 7 hours ago. And the election official came outside and said this voting area has the wrong tabulators and the wrong ballots for this location. And then an update from this Twitter user. The machines have arrived at 7:13. Another update. At 7:37, the doors opened and we voted. Now that's the good news. You know, the bad news is anytime someone has to wait in line longer, you will lose voters. That's why you see all these messages all over Twitter. Stay in line, wait in line, no matter what. And I agree with that sentiment. And also there's some people who aren't going to abide by that sentiment. Maybe they absolutely have to get to work or else there's dire consequences. But the one thing like that would get me out of line is if I got to go pick up my kids somewhere, I'm going to do that. And maybe it's impossible for me to vote the rest of the day. So there's some people where that's kind of like their reality. It's definitely not good when there's any kind of delay. Well, we had the wrong machines. How's that happen? But the good news is it was a 37-minute delay and then they got the right machines. It's like you go to a basketball game and they're like, we had the wrong sport. We had a football team here. Can we get some football teams? Some basketball teams here? We can? Okay. Well, who organized the football teams in the first place? This is a basketball arena. Have the right teams playing the right sport. This is a polling station. Have the right polling machines. There's a reason why Elon and Trump have both said we need to get elections all on paper ballots. Being an election scientist that I am, I agree with that. We'll get back to the video in a second, but first, here's a random question for you. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. Chuck Norris is in his 80s and still active and kicking butt like he's decades younger. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and still has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by making just one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s, and in fact, his wife was so impressed by this one thing, she started doing it too. She's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, she's leaner, and has plenty of energy. Now, to unveil the mystery, Chuck Norris made a video that explains everything. Be sure to watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/JP or click the link in the video description below. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/JP or click the link in the video description below. You will not believe how simple it is. And hey, just a reminder, the legendary Chuck Norris is a whopping 84 years old, yet has more energy than most 40-year-olds, maybe even including me. And he discovered he can make dramatic changes to his health by focusing on just 3 things that typically sabotage people as they age. Watch Chuck Norris's method by clicking on the link in the description below or go to chuckdefense.com/JP. Now back to our video. Just a couple other highlights of voting irregularities that have already been documented, which this is amazing. We are living in the time of we the people. There's places like Rumble and Twitter where you can still talk about anything. You can talk about reality. So it's great. There's so much awareness about looking for election rigging, reporting election irregularities, be they malicious or innocent mistakes, stupid mistakes. So it's great. There's a lot more awareness than there was in 2020. That is a good sign. Breaking news, voting tabulator machines in Michigan and Pennsylvania are reporting errors, with many being down. Local officials are telling voters that they'll scan their ballots for them later in the evening. Some locations are also reporting that they have the wrong tabulators. How can the United States be the most advanced nation but can't hold a simple election without this nonsense? And seeing other reports, people are being urged, like, yeah, if an official's saying, hey, give us your ballot, we'll scan it later for you. The sentiment is don't. Stay there with your ballot. Make sure it gets scanned with the right machine. Make sure it's accurate. That's doing what we can do to ensure as secure of an election as possible. This just in, bomb threats at Georgia voting facilities. Now, the Georgia Secretary of State is blaming none other than Russia. Whoa, Russia's creating these bomb threats. You may have heard of a story called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. You may have lived through a story called The Boy Who Cried Russia. Russian interference, Russia collusion hoax, Russia. What Hillary Clinton said, Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset. Here's what DC Drano says about this. We'll hear from the Georgia Secretary of State in just a second. DC Drano, yesterday I predicted the left would use extreme measures to scare voters out of polling centers. Today there were 2 bomb threats in Georgia that shut down voting centers. Refsberger is trying to blame Russia because he's a lying rhino coward. We know who is trying to stop Republicans. Georgia, go vote. Don't let them scare you. Let's throw it over to our blame everything on Russia correspondent to hide what's really going on, Georgia Secretary of State.
The only places that we've heard about one bomb threat. Have you heard any other verifiable?
Well, that's pretty good audio.
We've heard some threats that were of Russian origin, and so I don't know how to describe if that's viable. We don't think they are, but in the interest of public safety, you always check that out, and we'll just continue to be very responsive when we hear about stuff like that. We identified the source, and it was from Russia.
Can you elaborate on that? What kind of threats?
As he said, it's a bomb threat.
So, Russia, and you're confident of the Russians who did?
Yeah, just like we had the DDoS attack on Monday, October 14th, 420,000,
Russia, ladies and gentlemen. More election shenanigans. I'll spare you listening to these useful idiots. NBC is saying Nevada is going to take a week for results. This is going to be lawyers upon lawyers litigating which ballots can get fixed. That's exciting. By the way, the more time, if you were rigging an election, you wouldn't want results in right away because that gives you less time to improve the numbers, shall we say. So it's kind of like the more time that goes on and the more reasons you hear, well, here's our reasons why it takes so long, this, that. That's like you're looking at a painting. Let's just say it's a painting of reality. The more time that goes by and the more of their narrative about why. That's like someone splattering paint all over that beautiful painting of reality. It skews reality, covers it up, if you will. And I will. I don't like it, but I will. Another headline, Maricopa County election integrity capital of the world. What's going on there? You guys going to have your election results in really early? Breaking. Assistant County Manager Zach Sharrat has confirmed the full election results might take a few days to announce after Election Day in Maricopa County, Arizona. He says the candidates ahead might change after election night after days of counting, and that's normal. In previous Maricopa County shenanigans the past couple weeks, we've seen news reports of it might take weeks in Maricopa County. I'm sure it will, and that's convenient for everybody.